Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beautiful Peabody Essex Museum to celebrate and support a pillar organization of Greater Lynn for over 50 years, Lynn Community Health Center. I am truly honored to be here tonight as your MC and have a chance to thank all of the staff and leaders of the health center for truly being heroes each and every day, but especially the last 2 years. Tonight's goal is about connecting with people we might not have seen in quite some time. I know I haven't seen everybody, so I'm pretty excited. And to financially support the health center meet future challenges and obviously their goals. It's our opportunity to give back to you. Later in the program, we will have an opportunity to do just that with the Fund a Need paddle race, and that is a tongue twister for a Latinos person, all right? Fund a Need paddle race to support the health center's OBGYN department and Moms Do Care program. And you will hear from two special guests personally connected with these programs. Tonight's programs will also include a State of Lynn Community Health Center from its CEO, Kiami Mahanaya, and remarks from our distinguished Gala honoree, Reverend Dr. Gloria White Hammond. But before we get to this packed program, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage two people who likely need no introduction to many in the room. Magnolia Contreras and David Salamini Jr., the Anniversary Gala Committee co-chairs. David, a longtime supporter of LCHC, is an active and committed leader in the city of Lynn and has been involved in many civic organizations. Early in his professional career, he joined his family in the family business, the Salamini Funeral Homes. But ever the entrepreneur and never one to sit still, he's also a real estate developer. Magnolia, extraordinaire, great friend, MSW MBA, is presently the Vice President of Community Health at Dana-Farber Cancer Center. One of her first jobs, I don't know if you recognize her in the video, she was in that video. One of her first jobs as a young woman was at the Lynn Community Health Center. Here, okay, I need to turn the page. Here, she flourished, working in many varied roles and departments. Even after Magnolia advanced in her career, she remained committed to the city of Lynn and the health center. She joined the LCHC Board of Directors and chaired the capital campaign to build the Hayes Building, which doubled the space at the 269 Union Street location. Magnolia has also co-chaired the Women for LCHC Breakfast Series fundraisers since its inception. Today, Magnolia and David join us to celebrate the Health Center's 50+1 anniversary as the Gala Committee's co-chair. Magnolia and David. David, Magnolia, por favor.
Actually, the last time we were here, we were celebrating our wedding reception, so. Well, thank you, Carolina, and good evening to everyone. My wife introduced me to the good work of the Lynn Community Health Center years ago. The importance of this organization to our community cannot be overstated. By your presence here tonight, you agree with me. Tonight, we celebrate the past. We also look forward to all that the Health Center will do in the future. We'd like to thank our 50+1 Gala Committee for your hard work and commitment over the past 2 years, and for engaging a wonderful group of sponsors that have made this evening possible. I do want to give special thanks to our presenting sponsors, Cambridge Savings Bank. I think I need to meet you folks. And the DeMarcus families of Old Neighborhood Foods, led by one of my very favorite people in the whole world, Tom DeMarcus. I would also like to thank our platinum sponsors, Eastern Bank, which is our family bank, and we love you folks, and Element Care, a great group committed to senior health care. On a personal level, it's been a pleasure partnering with Element Care as we develop the Union Hospital site for senior housing. So it's been great working with all of the Element Care folks the last several months. Thank you. Please pay attention to the wall behind me throughout the evening as we thank a number of additional folks for supporting the health center. Now, there is a special group that I'd like to recognize tonight, along with their tireless leader, the long-standing event committee, not the Gala committee, the event committee, led by board member Marilyn Smith. This wonderful group of dedicated women has been together for, I think, 20-plus years, supporting Babies First Christmas and every other event that Lynn Community Health Center has put on. This type of commitment is rare, and I ask any of the members of that group to please stand and be recognized. All right, now Marilyn, don't sit down. Please remain standing. As I think you're a past president of the board, am I correct on that? And as a member of the development committee, and I think sometimes you were the one board member that was on that committee. As your time on the board comes to a close, we'd like to thank you for your incredible guidance, dedication, and hard work to the health center with a small token of appreciation. Our friend Lynn Mayor Jared Nicholson has asked me to pass along his congratulations to the health center and send his regrets that he was unable to attend tonight. Jared, along with his wife Catherine and their son Henry, are visiting Catherine's extended family in England. Now, Marilyn, is there any chance that you and Lynn's first lady are cousins? But tonight, covering for Jared is former Mayor Tom McGee, along with his wife, Maria. Thank you both for your continued support of the health center. Time to turn things over to my lovely wife. Magnolia.
Thank you, darling. It's such a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you tonight. We've been planning this for 4 years. I have notes where 4 years ago, at a women's breakfast, I said, the health center's 50th is in 2 years. And 2 years has passed with everything we all know. And it has taken endurance and tenacity for us to be here tonight. And we want to thank you and those of you watching from home for continuing to support us. Claire, you did it. I think Dr. Hayes is quite pleased. As I sat and watched the video tonight, I thought, wow, how lucky am I to have landed at this health center when I did. Carolina made sure that people saw the picture. I don't know. I know my friend from childhood saw the picture. Everybody knows. Seeing myself as a 19-year-old was a lot. It was a lot. But I recognize her. I recognize her because I've been associated with this organization from the day I walked in to interview for a summer job. That was 35 years ago. Walking through the doors at Goldfish Pond, I would never have imagined that I was walking into a lifelong relationship with this health center, where I found my life's work and passion. And by the way, I'm not unique. this place is transformational. And it has been for several of the people that you see in these pictures as we were getting ready this evening. Many of us came to the health center looking for a job, and by the time we left, we had a unique understanding of what a compassionate and integrated care model looked like, because we were already doing it at Lynn Community Health Center. We understood that to help community become truly healthy, that meant that we had to work with the whole person and in their environment, because we were already doing it at Lynn Community Health Center. We understood how to provide culturally competent health care, because we were doing it at Lynn Community Health Center. We understood the power of health care, community health care, social justice care, because we love our community and because we were already doing it at Lynn Community Health Center. I expect that by now you know the amazing work this health center did during the pandemic. As David and I experienced the pandemic through our own professional lenses, we knew that this health center needed us, and we immediately contacted Tiami and told him we are going to help, and we did. The pride that we felt each and every day when we saw our community being taken care of by this health center was gratifying beyond measure. We love this city, and we thank this health center for taking good care of our friends, neighbors, relatives, and the entire community. As we look forward to another 50+ years, our commitment to this community will require more from all of us here tonight. Our city needs this health center to help address some of the more complex issues facing our community today: poverty, racism, housing, education, employment, safety, social justice, mental health, inclusion, you name it. And as the proverb says, to whom much is given, much is required. In our 50+ years, we've accomplished a lot, but there's much more left to do. We hope that you will continue to be with us as we embark on that journey. I know that I am in, and I know that David is in. Are you? I surely hope so, because we need you. Thank you. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce you to our fantabulous honoree. I'm so excited. Reverend Gloria White Hammond, who I am going to refer to from now on as Pastor Gloria. Pastor Gloria was chosen to receive this honor tonight because she is uniquely qualified to speak to the challenges of a community health center faces each day. Pastor Gloria served as a pediatrician at the South End Community Health Center for over 27 years. Today, she is co-pastor of Bethel AME Church in Boston and the Schwartz Resident Practitioner in Ministry Studies at Harvard Divinity School. Additionally, she is a trustee emeritus of the Board of Trustees and current member of the Executive Advisory Committee for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion at Brigham and Women's Hospital. She is also a trustee at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and a member of the Black COVID-19 Coalition and the City of Boston's COVID-19 Health Inequities Task Force. She's a graduate of Boston University, Tufts University School of Medicine, and Harvard Divinity School. Pastor Gloria, welcome to the stage.
For me to drive 1.5 hours from Boston, over 23 miles to Salem, during Friday night rush hour is a bit of a risk. You see, I drive a 16-year-old hoopty Toyota that sounds like a truck and looks like it's been hit by one several times. My beloved Bessie can break down anytime she feels like it, because come August, she certainly will not pass the inspection. No, Bessie and I did not come this far tonight so that you could honor me. For real, I do not need another chicken dinner in a fancy venue. And while I would appreciate a plaque, I really don't need one. And while I love to embrace flowers, I really don't need a bouquet of flowers. We pressed our way here so that we could honor Lynn Community Health Center for 50+ years of service. I am here because I am so proud of you, Lynn. The year that you started in 1971, I was a first-generation junior pre-med student at Boston University, and I was struggling. I needed to be inspired and to imagine what a career in what was then called community medicine could look like. I visited what was then the 2-year-old South End Community Health Center. Like Lynn, it had been founded by neighborhood activists and by a pediatrician who became my mentor, Dr. Gerald Hass, and businessman Mel Scoville. Just like the visionary changemakers who started Lynn Community Health Center, they wanted to ensure access to quality health care for people who had been marginalized, who had been left out and considered the least. I was amazed at the work that they did, and I was inspired to work harder and work smarter to accomplish my dream to become a doctor. And so I subsequently graduated from college and medical school, and I completed my pediatric residency. Finally, it was time to get a real job. And there were a number of doors that were open to me, but there was only one that would allow me to fulfill the calling that God had placed upon me. 10 years after visiting that community health center as a student, I walked through those same doors as an employee, where for almost 30 years I was privileged to provide care to families who, like so many of yours, are among the most amazingly resilient people I have ever met. I was grateful to work with colleagues like the ones that I met at your health center last week, dedicated, honorable, smart, and creative. So really, I stopped by tonight, not so much that you could honor me, but so that I could honor you. Lynn Health Center, I really just have 2 words to say. Thank you. Over the past 50+1 years, you've been that freestanding, nonprofit, federally qualified community health center that has done so much with so little for so long. Thank you for the lives that you've changed, and literally for the lives that you've saved. Thank you for the hopes that you've restored and for the visions that you've resurrected. Thank you especially on behalf of the students who come to your health center, little kids, teenage kids, struggling like me, first-generation students. Thank you for giving them a vision of what is possible, for meeting them at the point of their need and letting them know that you see them and that you've cared. You have done well. Kiame is going to come, and I'm sure he's going to give you the rundown of just how amazing your praise report is. And yet the pandemic continues to underscore the inequity and the disparities that highlight so much of what we see around us, and we still have work to do. When you find yourself getting discouraged by the battles that have yet to be fought and the struggles that have yet to be waged, I want to encourage you to draw from the wisdom of a little girl that I saw, 12-year-old Maria. It was a really difficult, terrible, horrible, no good, very day. I began the day by discovering that another one of my asthmatics, a brittle asthmatic, had been hospitalized in the ICU at Children's once again. And one of the reasons that his asthma was so brittle was because his family lived in a third-floor walk-up that was both roach and rat infested. Each time he was hospitalized, I'd call the landlord and leave yet another message to tell him that he had to do something more. I began the afternoon by identifying a little 4-year-old girl. Her mother was right. She had been sexually abused. And the tragedy was that it was so difficult to find some place for her to access services immediately. All of my contacts said that she would have to take a number. They were just too backed up. And so when I came to my very last patient, I was feeling really discouraged. My patient was a 12-year-old girl named Maria who had immigrated from Guatemala. And I often wonder how well my immigrants are faring in the new country. And one of the things I've learned to do is to speak to them in English. And for the most part, most kids, if they've watched 6 months of television in America, they know English. But Maria was, as her mother explained, muy tímida. And so having gotten no responses, but simply nods, I dismissed her to get undressed and to get ready for our exam. And her mother said that she was a pastora. And I said, well, I'm a pastor too. She was impressed. A pastora? Yes. Un médico? Yes. And was I married? Yes. Did I have children? Yes. And the entire package left her feeling amazed. I, on the other hand, was still caught up in the drama for the day and spent time whining and complaining about how hard it is to do good work and to find people with whom to work. But her mother again just talked about how wonderful the opportunity was. Finally, the curtain flew back, and there was Maria, beautifully decked out in her blue paper gown. And the thing that was most remarkable about Maria, as she looked at me, she put her hand on her hips, and she bobbed her head. She pointed at me, and she said in letter-perfect English, "You go, girl." And that would be profound wisdom for the Lynn Community Health Center as you take on the next 50+1 years of doing great work, of making a difference. Y'all are doing it well. God bless you.
Wow. I have no words. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. White Hammond. It's truly an honor to have you. Thank you for your experience and for everything you brought to this program. It's now my pleasure to introduce the CEO of the Lynn Community Health Center. Inspired by a childhood divided between a war-affected third world country, the Congo, in a high-performing first world one, Switzerland, as well as parents intimately involved in rural development NGOs, Dr. Kiami Mahania brings a deep passion for social justice and the fight against inequities to his work as CEO at the Lynn Community Health Center. Dr. Mahania's clinical interests lie in teaching and integrating opioid addiction treatment into primary care and behavioral health. His leadership journey is anchored in lean improvement and deep respect for the employee's dignity. He attended medical school at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia as a National Health Service Corps scholar and has been working in federally qualified community health centers ever since. He was the 2012-2013 Massachusetts Academy of Family Medicine Physician of the Year and holds an appointment at the Tufts University School of Medicine. Mr. Mahania recently completed his Master's of Business Administration degree from University of Massachusetts Amherst in May 2021. Congratulations. Mr. Extraordinaire, all while leading the health center and the city of Lynn through the devastation of a COVID-19 pandemic. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Kiami Mahania.
David and Magnolia were always big fans of mine, and I think it was between the time I was appointed as CEO and the first event they hosted for me, I think there was about a 3-day difference there. So they've always been amazing supporters of the health center, and their intimate knowledge of how the sausage is made in Lynn has been a great source of wisdom for me. So thank you so much, Magnolia and David. And Pastor Gloria, thank you so much for your inspiring words. As a fairly loud and generally inappropriate person, I'm always struck when I meet somebody who's gentle and quiet and humble and yet makes such an impact. So thank you so much, Pastor Gloria. And I know that there are quite a few thank yous already this evening, but I'll add a few more before I begin my formal remarks tonight, because the health center would not be able to function without many people, and pulling off an event like tonight would not have been possible without many people as well. And while if I tried to read every name, we'd probably be here for another 2 hours, so I'll try to be brief. So I'd like to thank, keeping it brief, all the board members of the Health Center for your incredible dedication. I'd like to thank the leadership team of the Health Center, which has stood beside me throughout all these very trying years. And then all the staff of the Health Center for your incredible dedication, your support, and just the love that you show to the patients of the Health Center day in, day out. I would be remiss if I didn't make a special thank you to the development, marketing, and communication team who've been planning this event. As you've heard from Gloria, it's really been 4 years since we've been planning this 2-year event. And it would not have happened without you, and as you can see, it's a wonderful event. It's beautiful, packed with beautiful people. So many thanks for your efforts and for tolerating the fact that I'm probably the most disorganized boss that you've ever had. And Bill Manzoukas, where's Bill sitting? There you are, Bill. As you know, Bill, he looked way better back in the picture, but he is one of our founders since our inception more than 50 years ago, and Bill has remained very involved in our strategic committee and doesn't hesitate to call me when he thinks I'm doing something really stupid. So thank you, Bill. We've always been fortunate to have amazing leaders at the health center, and we will forever live in your debt, in your and Dr. Hayes' debt for starting the health center. There is also, I want to recognize the original 5 employees from Chestnut Street to the outstanding executive directors who've preceded me, and longtime key leaders who've served in so many roles to make the miracle that is today the health center happen. I know that my friend Wayne Altman always expects me to say one inappropriate thing per speech. So I think I would like to recognize my ex-boss, Lori Berry, whom I saw earlier before. Where's Lori? Where's Lori? So Lori was my boss at the health center, and she mentored me and tutored me and got me ready to be CEO. And so I want to thank her not only for helping me complete my professional education, but also completing my general American education, because it was only after spending 2 years with Lori that I realized how many American swear words I did not know. Stephen Hayes and Bill Manzoukas were prescient in placing the integration of primary care and behavioral health at the heart of Lynn Community Health Center's work. That decision at the time has continued to define our care model, and over the last 5 decades has really emerged as our main competitive advantage in terms of the healthcare market. In addition, the principle behind the choice of integration continues to animate us, which is to refine and offer new services always centered on what the community happens to be needing the most at that time. This approach has led us to be one of the main providers of substance use disorder treatment, to develop comprehensive services for people who are experiencing homelessness, and to be central in the care of immigrants, regardless of their documentation status. From the beginning, as you saw from the picture, the health center has pursued a workforce that looks and sounds like the patients that we serve. Serving as an entry point for many Lynn residents over the years, as Magnolia has pointed out, we have launched hundreds of careers, from people who used to be our employees, who are still our employees, but also who are busy changing the world in different places. For the last 50 years, getting to know health center staff has meant a living walk through the history of Lynn with all of its rich diversity. As the premier institution in our region for ambulatory care for those who are caught in the cracks of our system, but also being the main health resource for thousands who are in full pursuit of the American dream, we are living the vision of our forebears. We offer primary care, behavioral health, dental services, vision services to 43,000 patients. That's close to half of the city of Lynn. We deliver over 500 babies yearly. We assist over 6,000 families yearly in obtaining or retaining health insurance coverage. We sit in 17 of the 23 schools in Lynn in close collaboration with the Lynn public school system. And we serve all the community. Yes, 6% of our patients are uninsured, and 61% live below the federal poverty line, but also 22% of our patients are privately insured. We really cover the spectrum of the needs that the community calls on us. We are integrated into the premier healthcare institution in the nation through our affiliation with Salem Hospital and Mass General Brigham. Under the leadership of Dr. David Roberts, the CEO of Salem Hospital, and of Dr. Elsie Taveras, the inaugural Chief Community Health Equity Officer, and of course, Tina McLaughlin, whom we claim as our very own, despite her being an employee of MGB. Our patients are benefiting from a renewed commitment to eliminate inequities in access and in quality of care. We collaborate in increasingly complex ways with an ever-growing list of agencies and institutions. Aspire, Lynn YMCA, My Brother's Table, Mass Coalition for the Homeless, Elliott, the Lynn Police Department, and many others. We are linked to our local academic institutions. The North Shore Community College, represented today by President Heinemann, Salem State University, represented by President Keenan here tonight, and our medical education partner, the Tufts University School of Medicine, represented today by Dr. Wayne Altman, the Chair of Family Medicine, through whom the medical staff holds academic appointment, and also William James, through which many of our behavioral health providers hold appointments. We continue to innovate, operating the Deb Smith Walsh Recuperative Care Center in collaboration with LifeBridge to provide overnight care for homeless patients too sick to be in the shelter, but not acute enough to be in the hospital. We run the Moms Do Care program that you'll hear much about later tonight that brings together pregnant patients in need of substance use disorder care, medical and behavioral health professional, development help, as well as legal help. We have been integral to Lynn's economic recovery. We have over 650 employees, 60% of whom live and breathe and pay taxes, as I remind my fellow politicians, in the city of Lynn. We have generous educational and professional development programs that we actively promote. Helping our staff achieve their professional aspirations is as central to our sense of our social justice mission as is taking care of patients. Many of you truly got to know us in the past 2 years through the lens of the COVID pandemic. In collaboration with Mayor McGee's administration and now Mayor Jared Nicholson's team, the Lynn Community Health Center was central to Lynn's response to screening, to vaccinating, and to treatment. We have administered close to 100,000 vaccines, when you think of that for a health center of our size. We have performed close to 100,000 tests and provided thousands more for people to do home tests. And importantly, we stayed open throughout the whole epidemic because we knew that even though we did not necessarily always have the answers for our patients, they needed us to be open to get the reassurance that we could provide, but we also needed to stay open in order to spare our hospital and let them dedicate their resources to the acute patients that needed them the most. Through our community relationships, we developed a community network that was instrumental to us being able to provide vaccines to our patients with the fairly remarkable achievement that within our patient population, there is no racial or ethnic disparity or inequity in terms of vaccine rates. Our future is bright, and in some ways it's very daring of me to say this in these trying times. One of the most memorable fights that I had with my father is when I told him that I wanted to become a pastor. And so when I heard that we had Pastor Gloria here with us tonight, I thought I had to make a little excursion into the spiritual world. One of the quotes that I often struggled with as a young adult was MLK's quote of, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." The reason I struggled for this is that it always seemed that these words were promising a foreordained, optimistic outcome. And as someone who had witnessed and digested through daily news the incredible injustices, the extreme poverty, that civil war, that childhood abuse can cause, I just could not reconcile myself with that optimism. Decades later, I still struggled with this question. How did I reconcile the pain of living with the joys that life had to offer? And I looked back a few years ago to that sentence, and I realized that it was actually structured in a very subtle way. Martin Luther King does not speak of the physical universe. He's saying it's the moral universe that bends towards justice. As a black man in America, he knew intimately well that most of us do not live in a moral universe. Our lives are dominated by any particular individual's mix of luck and misfortune in the physical universe. Our limited time on earth doesn't really allow us to appreciate any arc, nor do most of us possess the spiritual fortitude to transform unearned suffering into redemptive grace. For those in Ukraine, justice must seem really, really far removed, or Yemen, or Afghanistan, or the Congo, or the myriad of folks who suffer through terrible personal and private deserts. I mention this because for me it emphasizes just how remarkable and how unique it is that the health center is being faced with such a bright future. I am grateful daily that I and the health center live in a particular moment, in a particular state and country, with a particular confluence of forces that's going to make the next few years great for the health center. What justifies this belief? Lynn Community Health Center stands at the nexus of state government healthcare reform that undergirds the promise for us at the health center of no longer simply settling for mere financial survival. The legacy and the strength of our health center forebears means that we enjoy an incredible depth in our local and our regional relationships. These include citywide agencies, businesses, but also all the small, medium, and large nonprofits with whom we interact on a daily basis. We have incredible support from our locally elected official. We benefit from a dynamic and forward-looking combination of an exceptionally effective primary care association, the Mass League of Community Health Center under Michael Curry's leadership, and a fearless ACO, C3, with an equally gutsy CEO, Christina Severin, who guides us assuredly and competently in oft uncharted waters. And last but not the least, we have an internal group of staff and executive team leaders who have the resilience, the competence, and the drive to seize this moment. It is a moment which carries the potential of full eclosion of our mission. The COVID hammer struck harsh and unequal blows across the world and in our nation. On witnessing the inequities that were thrown into a new light, most major stakeholders in our state decided that the status quo regarding inequity, in particular health inequity, was no longer acceptable. Individuals, companies, community groups, and institutions of all kinds want to be involved with a health center that has put the fight against racial inequities at the core of their daily work for the last 50 years. With your support undergirding our faith in our mission, the Lynn Community Health Center will not fail to rise to the challenge of the moment. Our mission, centering on social justice, equity, upstream mitigation of poverty, and decreasing pain wherever we encounter it, will serve both as the core of our resilience and our guiding beacon. Thank you. Before I close, on a personal level, I wanted to thank my mother, who is here present today. Whose ideals led her from suburban Chicago to rural Congo and almost led her to being killed, but who never stopped her rooting for her kids. I also want to recognize my wife, Catherine, who complains almost every day of being relegated to status of second wife because of my relationship with the health center. And my niece Isadora, who is representing the next generation and who was creator of the now famous rule in my whole family, which is no teasing by Uncle Kiame after 6 p.m. I would like to thank all of you for celebrating with us tonight, for choosing Lynn Community Health Center to donate your time, your talents, and your treasures. We could not do it without you. We recognized Bill Manzoukas earlier. And lastly, we would not be here tonight without the stewardship of Claire Hayes. Please, Claire, I know you hate the limelight. Claire has been involved with the health center since the beginning. On behalf of the health center, Claire, thank you.
This is a little unexpected, so I don't have anything prepared, but obviously, absolutely a huge thank you to all of you who are here tonight. My husband had a dream. When first thing he did, he met Bill Manzoukas, and he met somebody who had a dream as big as his. And it also started an incredible friendship that lasted until Steve's death. And Bill, you always quote, you say, Steve knew this was going to happen. I remember that touring the building. He knew how special this place was. And he said, this place always has to grow, it has to change, it has to live. And boy, he's been gone now almost, I guess, 11 years. And it has done nothing but grow and change and thrive. He was right. The people who work at this health center are the most amazing people. They just are mission-driven, and it is just an incredibly special place that does incredible work for the people of Lynn. Thank you.
We had to do it as a surprise, otherwise she would have exited out of the program. So moving on to our next section. Lynn Community Health Center is a large OB/GYN department, and we're one of the few remaining community health centers which deliver our own patients, round them in the hospital, and cover them fully from inpatient to outpatient. Our clinical staff this year, I think, they've delivered over 500, but in general, we deliver over 450 babies each year at MGB Salem Hospital. But that coverage comes at a cost. And it costs us about $300,000 unreimbursable dollars every year to be able to provide that coverage. Our substance abuse disorder program is the largest north of Boston, and our Moms Do Care program is an example of fully wraparound integrated care. Dr. Elizabeth Quinn from our Sunflower team is a family physician and a Moms Do Care physician lead. She received her undergraduate degree from Harvard University and her medical degree from UMass Medical School in Worcester. Dr. Quinn practices full spectrum family medicine, including obstetrics and family-centered addiction care in a Moms Do Care program. Her focus is on pregnant and parenting women with substance use disorder, active and in recovery. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Elizabeth Quinn.
Thanks so much, Kiami. I have the best job in medicine, and I'll tell you why. For most of the week, I work at the health center, and I'm seeing, as Kiami mentioned, the full spectrum of family medicine, from birth to aged, and I take care of people with addiction and people with all medical problems. And on Fridays, I go to Salem Hospital, and I'm honored to attend births. And I work with some of the best colleagues in medicine. So Dr. Catherine Reyes has been with me on Sunflower Team and promoting the Moms Do Care program since 2016. Dr. Alexei Kohoviak has been with the health center leading the obstetrics department since 2002. So he's had 20 years of caring for the patients of Lynn Community Health Center at Salem Hospital. And he's now the chair of obstetrics at Salem Hospital. Alexei, could you stand? Thank you. His stewardship of the obstetric care that we provide to our patients at the hospital is outstanding to witness. He brings excellence and a very high commitment to a strong evidence base for the care we provide there. I also am fortunate to work on a multidisciplinary team. So I work every day with nurse practitioners, psychiatric nurse practitioners, therapists, peer recovery coach, community health workers, medical assistants who are outstanding. And I work in a place where anytime we identify a need for food, a need for housing, a need for childcare, I am able to connect my patients with those resources, and it's an incredible privilege. The Moms Do Care program in particular is one that we've been really fortunate to bring to the health center since 2018. It's allowed us to enhance the program we already had, in which we focused on providing addiction care for pregnant and parenting women. Our work there allows us not only to treat addiction, but to nurture families. And every day I get to witness children who have been born to moms that I met when they were entering recovery, and it's a gift. So that experience has allowed me to witness daily strength, humility, hard work, and tremendous grace. And I'm very excited that tonight I get to introduce you to one of my patients, to Megan Walsh, who's here with me, who exemplifies all of those things. I have been really fortunate that in the time that I've been on the Moms Do Care team, I've also become a mother, and so I have 2 children, and I've learned tremendous amounts from my patients, including from Megan, about what qualities I need to bring into that mothering journey. So thank you to Megan and to all of my patients.
I want to thank Dr. Quinn, the Moms Do Care program, Lynn Community Health Center, and Claire Hayes for inviting me to speak tonight. It is an honor to give back to an organization that has given so much to me. I am here tonight to share a little about myself as an addict, a mother, and a patient here at Lynn Community Health Center. Addiction does not discriminate. It does not care about your race, gender, economic status. Yet growing up in an upper middle class family, addiction was never discussed. Aside from the couple DARE classes, we were taught that addiction is a choice, and if you're an addict, you're inherently bad. And if you just don't do the drug, you'll be okay. Alcohol was never discussed, and it never occurred to me that alcohol was a drug too. What I know now, but I didn't know back then, I was an addict long before I tried my first drug. Growing up, I always felt uncomfortable in my own skin, and alcohol took that away. It wasn't long until I saw consequences because of my drinking, but it never occurred to me that I actually had a problem. I got an OUI at the age of 18, and I still didn't think I had a problem. Away at college, drinking brought me to some really dark places, and I chose to drop out. I was too ashamed to reach out. And I told myself if I just didn't drink, I would be okay. I was an emotional mess, and I soon discovered it was because I was pregnant. As a young mother, never once was I offered any services, no classes, but I managed not to drink. And on February 12, 2007, at 24 weeks, I went into preterm labor, and I delivered my baby girl. 1 pound, 4 ounces, she defied all odds. But on April 13, 2007, my life changed forever. My now 2-month-old NICU warrior was losing the battle. I held my baby girl that morning for the last time. A few days later, I signed a contract with the devil, and I tried IV heroin for the first time. I didn't want to live, but I was too scared to die, and I was on a mission of self-destruction. I had hoped it would kill me, but instead it brought me to a new low I never knew existed. My parents had given up hope, and they were just waiting for my phone call, a phone call that my body had been found somewhere. I slept in abandoned buildings, not knowing if I would wake up, not from an OD, but from hypothermia. In 2012, I found out I was pregnant again. I was homeless, addicted, and begging for money. I went on methadone, and I did well for a while. But the stigma associated with methadone, as well as driving 45 minutes just to dose, I decided to wean off. And from then on, I was a habitual relapser. I tried everything to get clean. Halfway houses had no continuum care. IOP or day programs were too short, and insurance rarely ever covered more than 7 days. I had given up hope, and I had accepted the fact I would die an addict. In 2019, I entered treatment for what I hoped to be would be my last time. With the advice of a caseworker, I began Suboxone. 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Homeless, but this time sober, I arrived in Lynn at a family shelter. And shortly after was introduced to the Lynn Community Health Center, the Sunflower team, and the Moms Do Care program. My first appointment planted the seed of hope. At the Sunflower team, I met with Dr. Quinn, and we listened to my son's heartbeat. And then she did what no other doctor had done before. She listened. She listened to me and my concerns, and I was treated like an individual, not an addict. The Moms Do Care program is a program like no other. Aside from combining complex addiction and prenatal care, there was groups and educational parenting classes, recovery coaches anytime I felt I may be struggling, casework that would help access resources. They discussed with me the process of DCF, and we conducted a parenting plan. I was able to visit Salem Hospital ahead of my delivery, and I met with a caseworker there who answered any questions I might have. And I wasn't treated like a statistic. See, only 2% of heroin addicts recover. That statistic doesn't sit right with me. Lynn Community Health Center, the Sunflower team, and especially the Moms Do Care program are actively helping to increase that recovery rate. Medically assisted treatment saves lives. Today, I am coming up on 3 years clean. I have custody of my boys. Thank you. I travel 45 minutes or longer, depending on traffic, to all my appointments because I moved to a beautiful apartment closer to my parents. Like the saying goes, Lynn, Lynn, the city of sin, you never come out the same way you go in. That is true. I arrived at Lynn broken, lost, scared, and they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And today my boys have their mother because of that. Thank you.
I'm not a patient. I'm not a doctor. I'm actually an auctioneer. I work for Skinner's. And as you may know, what we auctioneers like to do is take people's money. Megan is an incredibly brave person, given what she's gone through, and even having just the courage to stand here and share it with us tonight. And I know as I was listening to her talk, I was wondering, what could I possibly do to help such an awful situation? Well, guess what? I'm here to help you come up with something to do, and that is to help support the Lynn Health Community Center. So here's what's going to happen right now. Everybody should have a booklet, yes, a little pamphlet for the evening, a program. On the back is a lovely number. I want everybody to take your program in your left hand, raise it up nice and high. Your left hand, your other left. Oh, most of you are doing very well. Nice and high. So what's going to happen is this. I'm going to give you an amount that you can give, and I'm going to tell you what that can do for the center. And if you want to give that amount, you're going to raise that paddle nice and high. You're going to keep it up in the air so that I can read the number, okay? Once I've read the number, you can put it down, and you will have just given. Then we're going to have people coming through the audience to go ahead and process your payment. So we'll make this nice and efficient. If you'd rather, you can just do it by credit card, you can do it by check. You can also use the checkout table if you'd rather just do it that way. Very simple process. Everybody ready? All right, let's get started. So I'm going to start big. I'm going to ask for $2,500 because here's what $2,500 can do. $2,500 can support 24/7 OB care through the providers from the health center to go to MGB Salem Hospital. So that means for labor and delivery, the moms and the newborns can have providers who know them, people who know their histories, their stories, and their languages, which, if you've ever been a mom, you know means the world. So who can give $2,500 right now to help out? $2,500. I need paddles in the air. I've got 136 giving $2,500. Thank you. 154 does the same. 306 also does the same. 173 is also giving $2,500. Anybody else at $2,500? I know it's a big ask. Anybody else? $2,500 also comes from 125. Anybody else? 208 is also giving $2,500. Anybody else at $2,500? If I don't see your paddle, you can wave it around frantically, or you can just yell my name, which again is Robin. Hey, you also works over here. Just don't use any four-letter words. I don't care what you call me other than that. $1,000 is what I'm going to ask for next. $1,000. I haven't even told you what it buys yet, but $258 already gives $1,000. $1,000 helps with wraparound services for one mom throughout their complete pregnancy. It also covers overnight at Salem Hospital. So $1,000, I've already got my 1,000 from 258, thank you. I've got it from 153, 240, 112, 145, 108, 282 also gives $1,000. This side of the room's doing awesome. We could use a little more help other than you. Over on this side, anybody else at $1,000? 204 gives $1,000. Who else at $1,000? Anybody else at $1,000? I know it's still a big ask. Anybody else? Last call at $1,000. All done? How about $500? $500 does 1 week worth of interpretive services for clients at the health center so that they can get their care in a language that they understand, that means something to them. $500 from 145. I have it from 217, 382, 225, 230. Did I already get 217? I think I might have already got you. I don't want you to pay twice, unless you want to, which is totally cool. 255 also. 335, 227, 110. Oh, don't make it any darker. 247, 252, 180, 290, 378. Is there anybody I've missed? Oh, 391 over here. Anybody else that I've missed at $500? Last call at $500. Have I got everybody? I want to make sure everyone who wants to give can give. Everybody? Then how about $250? I love it. $367. He's already bid, and I haven't said what it brings. It gives patient care for a patient before they have health insurance. $367 is also given. Everyone's going now. $273. This is what I like to see. $195 and $196. $156. $310. $213. $106. $246. $197. $164. $193. $365. $372 and $373. $138. $229. $272, $269, and $148. Do I have everybody? Oh, are you putting up a paddle or $273 as well? Anybody else at $250? That's great. How about $100? $100 funds 1 month of newborn diapers. Holy poopy diaper, that's a lot of money just for diapers. Let's see $100 to help out. $118 gives $100. $109, $179 gives $100. $288, $330, $140, $297, $334, $328, $376, $170, $256, $200, $387, $321, $315, $301, $390, $211, $202. If you need to switch hands because your arms are getting tired, it's totally kosher. $394, $235, and $370. All give $100. Did I get everybody at $100? $394 also gives $100. $236 also gives $100. Anybody else? Last call, $100 because everybody wants to give for poopy diapers. All right, $50. Here's a level that should be fairly comfortable for most of us. And $50 funds whatever it is that a newborn needs most at the moment. And as we know, that can be a lot. So who can give me just $50? I want to see all the paddles up in the air. $50 right now. Let's see all those paddles go up in the air. 50, just 5-0. Come on, let's see them. 261. 176 gives $50. Who else gives $50? 181. 350. You can put it up over and over again if you're feeling funny about just $50. Just $50 isn't just $50. It is giving what you can give. 348 gives $50. Who else wants to give $50? Last call at $50. Last call, are we all done? So let me say this, people. First of all, give yourselves a round of applause for doing what you can, for being here for tonight to support the center. Now, some people are extroverts. Maybe not all of you are. And if you're not an extrovert, if you're an introvert, I don't understand you, but I respect you. So when people come around to take your payments, if you didn't give an amount because you felt shy or your arm was tired, or I didn't pick an amount you like, please feel free to go ahead and add whatever gift you can give, small, medium, large, or supersized. You can also just go to the exit, the checkout table, and do it there. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for your generous hearts. And I want to invite Carolina back to the stage.
And I just want to thank you all so much for your generosity. A few housekeeping items to close our night. If you have not checked out for payment on your bid, you won't be able to leave. No, I'm just kidding. Please find an LCH staff member or find a designated table in the back of the checkout. Staff are ready to assist. Checkout is on the right-hand side over there, because I know you have problems with raise your left hand or right hand, so over there. And the code check is there as well. The beautiful flowers, the centerpieces, please feel free to take them home. I'm going to say this in Spanish too. Por favor, llévense las flores de las mesas para la casa. No las dejen ahí. Whoever's birthday is the closest, the centerpiece, you save yourself $50. And as I would like to say thank you again. Please enjoy the rest of your night. And then thank you for those who joined virtually. Buenas noches, hasta luego.